Hey, welcome back everyone. Old Bubs here with a little scale swap tutorial on this Benchmade Redoubt. We have these Cerakote aluminum scales from AWT coming in hot that I think are really gonna spruce up this knife. This is the OD green color. There are so many color options available. You can also get different patterns laser engraved on top. These scales are super lightweight and are going to provide a really good feel and look to this knife. A quick rundown of the tools you are going to need. You're going to need a T10 and a T6, something to clean with, and a little rubbing alcohol or a different cleaner if you like it, a little bit of thread locker, lubricants. I am using a KPL Heavy, which I'll show you what that's for, and the original weight, 15 weight. This is a Sunshine Jeweler's cloth. And if you are interested in any of the particular tools that I'm using, I'll leave links down in the description for you to make it easy for you. I'm not going to leave an online order link for rubbing alcohol because I think you should go outside and go to stores sometimes. Getting after it, the first thing we're going to do here is drop a T6 into this pocket clip screw. This is a long screw. Pop that on out, keep it to the side. Then you can just take your same T6 bit and get this pin started. Then that clip just slips on out. It is an over the end clip. Next up, we have a screw here on this side and a screw here on this side that's going to lift this grip section off. So just nice and easy. Take those T6s out. A good rule to live by with T6s is put lots of downward pressure and twist nice and easy. That's part of why I like these specific drivers. They allow you to really push in with your palm and then twist with ease. So then that section is just going to gently lift off of here. See, it's got little guides. Set this to the side. We don't need it, but I highly recommend saving all of this original stuff in the box stashed somewhere just in case you want to put it all back together and send it in for maintenance. Disassembling does void your warranty, but I do believe that if your knife is reassembled in its original form, Benchmade's going to be happy to take care of you. Then we got these two T6 screws up here. Now always when you're taking your screws out, make sure that you organize them in a way that makes sense to you so you don't lose track of which screws are which is certainly harder to do on camera than it is off of camera. Alright, then we have our T10 for the pivot. Just gonna nice and easy take that pivot out of there. Big pivot screw, and then same thing, we're just going to use our driver to gently nudge out that pin. That's all that we have for assembly, so we just lift that scale off. Now really careful because you have an open blade here. Just going to undo the omega spring and lift that off of the post here. Set that to the side. Then we can go ahead and just take our blade out here. We've got big washers on this one. Good night. Alright, so this whole assembly comes on out. And just like the other side, I'm going to take our omega spring nice and easy on out of here, off of the lock. Take the lock part out, set that aside, lift these two plates apart. Then we got this pin here that we'll keep together. Now it's just time to clean everything. This one does not look gunky at all, which is nice. It's good when you got these things opened up just to take the opportunity to clean. Clean the spring. Clean the spring. These are pretty heavy duty looking Omega springs. Alright, going to take a washer, get that cleaned, set that one aside. Now the action on this knife was running pretty smooth on its own, but I think with just a little touch up we're going to be doing even better. Alright, there's where some of our gunk was, which is not uncommon. When you're breaking in a pivot, there's always going to be some small little metal filings that collect in whatever lubricant was there. It doesn't mean anyone did a bad job, it just is the way that it is. Clean off our pivot here, because we'll put new lubricant in there. Alright, and then on these washers, these look pretty good, pretty clean, but we are still going to take and just give the blade facing side just a little tiny polish on this sunshine jewelry cloth. This is not meant to remove material at all. Just rub it gently in a little figure 8. Take just a little bit off. Again, this is not pressing hard. See, that just gives them a little bit more of a shine, which in theory gives us a smoother surface for the lubricant to hit, smoother surface for the knife, which will make it drop shut a little bit easier, give us a little bit better feel. You can go to town on polishing washers, but I think the dangers of warping them outweigh the benefits of really polishing washers with sandpaper or rubbing compounds or any of that. I think just the jewelry cloth of just taking off any tarnish really gets us down the field where we want to go. Okay, so now we're going to take this side of the scale. We're going to take and put our pivot through. I'm going to transfer the stop pin to the other side here. So what you want to do here is you want to build your axis lock. Take the bar here, and then we're going to take that spring. Now these springs are side specific, so you got to get the right one. Drop that back on there. Build that in there like that, and then here is what the KPL heavy is for. Since these springs, when they're all pushed together, they do rub right in here. There's a little bit of friction. I like to just take a little bit of KPL heavy that's going to stay right where it's supposed to go there. That's what a heavy lubricant does, is it stays in place better. And just put a little drop where that spring path is going to be. That makes it a little bit easier for us. So we are going to take this, line up the D shape in the pivot, drop that whole thing down in there, and then we're going to take this stop pin, which also has the D shape. Oh, sometimes the pivot comes out. It's got nothing holding it in there right now. So just drop this little stop pin in there, and then what we're going to do from there is just put in a screw and a screw here to keep that in order. So we'll take our little Loctite on a stick here, grab a little bit of thread locker on each of these screws, pick this up with our pivot here, and just secure the stop pin. And right now we're not going to make anything tight. We're just going to get everything into place, and we'll go around and tighten everything at the end. I'm going to take our middle screw here, hold that axis plate in place. Whoop, pivot down. You can see that I'm far from perfect, but I am experienced. Alright, now we're just going to take one of our washers, and I do, not for the sake of like what's actually going to lubricate the knife, but I do like to put a little drop of KPL on the back side of the washer too, mostly for the corrosion of that steel plate, just so that we don't end up with any rust of that steel plate. And that was a pretty sizable drop, so we don't have to go much further than that at the moment. Then you're gonna do this little like one-handed dance of pull back the one side of the lock bar and keep the pivot on there. And then you can see we just kind of end up locking that one side in. I was just using a finger back here to hold that pin in while we drop that in. You can see now that we're like pretty much lined up there. And then we're just going to take, don't grab that, that's the heavy. Just going to grab the regular 15 weight lubricant. Get one nice drop, put the polished side of the washer down. And then like we did before, just one side and one for the other side of the washer. Then, since we got this beautiful stop pin and everything right here, so then what we're going to do is, holding this all in, we're going to slide the end of that lock bar, kind of give us everything we can, and slide that up through this hole. This is the trickiest bit of this method. But then, as we get this in place here, you can just kind of play with the tension of the lock bar there. And then all we're looking for is we just have to, there we go. So we just have to drop that in on that stop pin and the pivot. And then this sits right in place. As long as you don't put a lot of pressure over here, you're going to keep all of that stuff lined up there. So then we're just going to drop in our spring. Nice and easy like this. Try to get my meat hooks out of the way so you can see it. This is small stuff. Push that into the spring on, and then come in here. Come on. Showing off for the cameras here. And then again, just our single drop of KPL heavy right there to lubricate that spring side. Then another thing here with these particular scales is that they have this little pin that sits here so that we keep the spacing on the back side, but also I believe that that's so that you can drop a little lanyard over that loop. We are not concerned with that at the moment. But see, that pin just there we go. I didn't have it quite lined up. See, that pin just drops in there. And then we're going to take our screws here. Our little shorty T6 right up here in that stop pin. Drop this one into the center here. And again, not too tight. We don't need anything tight at this point. Then our pivot. just snug that up. All right. We're not quite centered right now, but I'm not going to worry about that yet. We're going to tune this thing in a little bit. And then how you get this pocket clip in here is pretty interesting. And also you can see one of the really cool things about these particular scales is that they give you the option to use a regular Benchmade clip. So you can do the deep carry, or you can do this clip that comes with it that goes in there like that. And see, all you got to do is you just line that up, and then this pin has two flat spots, and so those actually line up this way, and then you just slide that in. Beautiful. This knife does go together pretty well. You just guide that screw through there. Okay, so now we got a knife that's fully reassembled. That is really smooth. Okay, and now I'm going to go around here and just snug in all of our T6 screws, but again, not going crazy. Then we're going to adjust our pivot. So that slings out really nice, goes back smooth. It is nice and tight. What we're going to try to do, the easiest way to try to get back centered here, in my experience, is just to back out the pivot, which is not very tight, and then just edge it ever so slightly the way that you're trying to get it all to sink back down together. Then as we snug it back up, we'll see, yeah, that's pretty much dead on. And then still have absolutely no blade play. It's a little bit stiff now, but I would encourage you that breaking in washers is a love affair that requires endurance, and you will be rewarded with a pivot that is just absolutely snug with no play and will drop shut eventually. That's just how washers have to break in. Bearing knives usually fall shut right away, but washers just take a minute. Man, that has really spruced up this knife. I hope you found this tutorial valuable. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to make the most helpful and engaging content I possibly can. At the very least, give the like button a little boop boop. Please leave me a comment if this tutorial left any unanswered questions. I'd be happy to try to talk you through this. I hope that you'll let love and light fill your life. Stay sharp out there, friends. I will see you on the next one.